I believe so.
I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture, which is all about combining theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. After flying down to California and kicking off the weekend with a pre-stumble visit to Knott's Berry Farm, the Buzz Bars Coaster Club is ready to descend upon Six Flags Magic Mountain for its biggest event in club history. We'll get a chance to see how everyone enjoyed 2 days worth of coaster riding, including a pair of exclusive ride time sessions, a special backstage tour with a group meal, and a viewing party for the biggest game of the year. The group hotel was just down the street from Six Flags, meaning several rooms offered a view of nearby rides, which makes for a nice start to the morning before heading down to breakfast. After a bite to eat, it was just a short drive over to the park. We'd have to wait a bit for the parking gates to open, but many took the opportunity to admire one of the most anticipated coasters of the day, and it also led to some ridiculousness to occur, which I might have had something to do with.
I think Allison's also recording from the other side.
Never mind, I'm gonna try that. Hello!
Hi, Gary.
I think it is time for Straight Outta Stumbles.
I believe so.
Do you have a moment to talk about Jesus Christ? Before long, it was time for us to make our way in, and it was quite the sight at the entrance to see so many people there, especially given the West Coast location.
Woo!
Woo! Let's go, baby! Let's go, baby! To kick things off, we began with the first morning ERT session, West Coast Racers. This Premier Rides creation replicates a Mobius-style coaster by having the dueling trains swap sides of the track upon return to the station. But unlike a traditional Mobius coaster, the one side is just a holding section while the third train finishes loading to duel with it, effectively making it one long singular layout. It's a ton of fun, as the launches have a nice punch, and the way the trains interact with each other, inverting over one another, adds to the ride's excitement. It's almost like Full Throttle and Twisted Colossus had a love child. After a few laps on the racers, many would head over to Apocalypse, their Great Coasters International wooden coaster. While the ride was closed off during the construction of its new neighbor, it seemed like a lost opportunity to get some work done on the track, as it rode a bit rugged, so I was good with just the one lap. It also didn't hurt that by that time, the ride most people were looking forward to for this ERT session had become available.
Oh, yeah. X2 time, baby. X with a 2.
Let's get it. X2 ERT. Mwah.
And thus many made the trek for a ride on X2. There was certainly a huge amount of excitement around this coaster, as many who came from out of state either hadn't ridden it in a long time, or it was their first time.
I don't know how I'm gonna do with this ride. It could be a bottom 10 ride for me, it could be a top 10 ride. I have no idea. We got a lot of people riding this for the first time. The giddy is real. I'm nervous. I'm actually legit scared. Probably one of like only 5 roller coasters in the world where I'm like legit scared about it.
And judging by some of the reactions, many were left stunned.
I can feel my body.
Mommy, sorry.
I can feel my toes kind of tingle. I'm shaking. Send help.
While I really enjoy this coaster and love how different it is from many others, my biggest beef with it is the way the seats rock at times. And if you're not braced for it, you might end up with a punch to the back of the head from the headrest. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably rank this higher, but I certainly don't blame others who do.
The most insane roller coaster experience I think of my life. What was that? Allison, get in here. What? What was that? That was X2.
That's the only way to describe it.
Mullet, what do you think?
I don't even know
I'm
how
like,
to describe that.
like our group, there were literally people crying.
Tears.
Legit tears of happiness.
Shout out.
What about it?
This one being one of them.
While the ERT session was a great kickoff of the day, another anticipated part of the event came right after, as we were taken backstage for a tour of the cycle shop, the warehouse where the maintenance crew of Magic Mountain performs their annual teardown and rebuild of various coaster cars of the park's record-breaking 20 roller coasters. It was fascinating to learn more about the process of the annual maintenance that goes into these trains, and how different manufacturers have different standards of when to conduct maintenance, whether it's based on an amount of time or a number of cycles. It was also really cool to get up close and personal with one of the cars from Superman Escape from Krypton, one of Scream's trains, and a brand new train they just received from Premiere for Full Throttle. This was certainly a coaster nerd's dream for the sake of getting all kinds of unique pictures. Many folks took advantage of the nearby location of Batman the Ride right after, and from there many folks split off into smaller groups to enjoy other rides. It wouldn't be long until it was time for lunch over at the Grand Oak Picnic Pavilion. While the food was generally of the standard theme park variety, there was a ton of praise for the mac and cheese. But what I found to be the real highlight of lunchtime was the inclusion of some recreational equipment to help burn off a few calories before returning to the rides, even if it meant showing how bad we generally were at basketball or volleyball. But at least we had a few flashes of semi-competence. It was also a great time for just hanging out and enjoying a nice cold treat. I know I've shared this on multiple occasions, but I really love how each Buzz Bars event seems to offer something that makes it stand out from the others. And yet they always offer you a chance to hang out with folks who you can enjoy visiting the park with, whether they enjoy the absolute silliness of riding smaller coasters just to say they did, or only seeking out the biggest scream machines a park has to offer. There's tons of great folks to enjoy the company of while celebrating personal milestones of this wonderful, wacky hobby. And as over 100 folks gathered near Revolution's fountains, it's still incredible to think how just 2 years prior to this event, it all began when some folks managed to deal with some weather delays from a rare Texas ice storm. And if that one day at Magic Mountain wasn't enough, there was a second one to follow. Returning to the park, we had hoped they'd be able to get Twisted Colossus open for our second ERT session with Wonder Woman and Batman. Unfortunately, we got confirmation it wouldn't be available, however the replacement would be a good one.
Fortunately, no TC. But the ride is running right now, full throttle. Let's go.
That Premiere launching coaster gave us a nice wake up for the morning from its launch right into the vertical loop, and while it's a bit of a shorter layout, it still packs a pretty good punch with a unique mid-course launch that sends you backwards after bringing the train to a stop for some additional momentum, going to that final hill that rises above the loop. I also loved having the chance to enjoy multiple laps on Wonder Woman Flight of Courage, their RMC Raptor Track coaster that is a near clone of Jersey Devil coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. While its East Coast counterpart didn't quite seem to live up to the hype others had given it, the laps I had on this thing made me realize that perhaps I just hadn't ridden it enough times, as I enjoyed it more with each lap. Sure, it wasn't quite the same intensity of their iBox coasters, but it doesn't have to be. It still gives multiple great airtime hills, and the inverted stall is always a great time as well. I might find myself enjoying Jersey Devil even more next time I head back to that park. One of the downsides of this event taking place in early February was that several other coasters were closed for annual maintenance or staffing, meaning that some folks who came out to the event missed out on the likes of Viper, Riddler's Revenge, Goliath, and Twisted Colossus. Or so we thought. Shortly after the park opened to the public, I was in a nearby restroom when I heard a lot of commotion coming from outside. It turned out to be Buzz Bars getting really excited about the discovery that one of the more anticipated coasters of the park was opening, and it was none other than Twisted Colossus. While the ride offers excellent airtime and several moments that seem to defy the laws of physics, as is per usual with many RMC creations, the ride was a bit lacking with only 2 trains running, because the crew couldn't quite seem to get the timing of the loading of the train down to allow for the trains to duel, which is by far one of the biggest elements of this particular ride. I was a bit bummed not to get a chance to relive the thrill of the trains inverting over one another and coming together for the high five moments, but I think it's safe to say many of us appreciated that they had the ride open at all. While there were those who continued to use the rest of the day for as many rides as possible, others began to take part in festivities connected to the upcoming Super Bowl game, with many folks taking part of what's become a tradition of Buzz Bar gatherings, a tailgating session. It was interesting to be doing so as part of our Super Bowl game day experience, since tailgating is also one of the best parts of attending a football game. And while we weren't anywhere near the location of the actual game, we had space reserved for our crew inside a Full Throttle sports bar to watch it together. With Buzz Bars having several fans from both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, it made what turned out to be a very entertaining game even more fun to watch because of seeing their reaction to different moments of the contest.
Let's go, baby!
The halftime show with Rihanna really brought out that Buzz Bar spirit as well, although it seemed like it might have been a bit too much for some. While the game went past the park's closing time, it was really nice of park management to allow us to stay and watch the game until it ended. And as the game came down to the final stretch, you could feel the tension from those with a vested interest in this game for their favorite team.
Wide right. Dead nuts. That one is done. Did you put it out of the end zone?
Oh my gosh, that's it.
And with that, the Chiefs fans of the club had much to celebrate. And as we made our way back to the parking lot, the goodbyes and see you laters began, officially bringing this event to a close. While some folks spent the day after the stumble down in San Diego for SeaWorld or making their way back home, I made a last-minute decision to stick around an extra day to see family in Brea, but had to wait until the end of their workday and the kids getting out of school, so I spent the morning exploring the area around Bolsa Chica State Beach, and the afternoon exploring the trails of Carbon Canyon Regional Park, which offers the only location in Southern California with redwood trees. It was a short visit with Kellen and Val and the kids, but I was glad I had the flexibility to do so, thanks to Philip's flight benefits through Southwest. And thanks to the higher frequency of flights from Los Angeles to Oakland than Oakland to Seattle, both flights were fairly light on passengers, meaning I got to enjoy a row to myself for both legs. I didn't have a whole lot of time on the layover, but as I walked from one gate to the next, I found a rather unique machine in the hallway that would generate a short story for you to read for free. All you had to do was choose between a 1, 3, or 5 minute long story. Neither east nor west. For 30 meters or so, she conjures someone else's divided history. She is only a shadow rider, trying to reconcile an ugly, cloven past with her own country's current will to wall. Most of the flight from Seattle to Oakland was used for a nap, but didn't last for very long, as the views of Washington's southern volcanoes during this flight were amazing, with Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams looking gorgeous in the snow, and Mount Rainier offered one of my favorite in-flight photos of all time. So much so that it now serves as the lock screen on my phone. But it turned out it wasn't just the mountains with snow, as it had been snowing in western Washington while I was away. And with that, I was ready to hop into my snow-covered car for the drive home. I wouldn't blame anyone for saying that this was their favorite stumble yet, especially for the really unique experience of the Cycle Shop Tour and having the ability to hold a Super Bowl party in a theme park. A huge thank you to the club executives for putting together yet another excellent event with some great experiences, and to everyone who came and took part in the festivities. I also really want to thank everyone who contributed video and photos from the weekend, as it really helped me once again to share the story of this event. As always, don't forget to head over to the Buzzbars YouTube channel for Allison's great music video that shows much of the chaotic fun in SoCal. And also be sure to check out the videos from Coasters and Brews, The Ride Factor, and Coaster 365 over the course of the weekend. Links to these channels and the videos related to this event can also be found in the description below. If you'd like to find out more about the club, head over to the Buzzbars website, or you can follow the social media pages for updates as they become available. Now that this event is in the past, it's time to wait and see where the next adventure leads when the opportunity comes once again to go coasting with culture. Thank you for watching this video from Coasting with Culture. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button to see future videos here on YouTube, like these ones which you may enjoy as well. Additional content can be found at coastingwithculture.com, and you can also follow Coasting with Culture on various social media channels at CoastWCulture for announcements, previews, and updates. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and safe travels.